Hello, everybody. My name is Sue, the DM, and we're back with another Sands of Calimare recap. To pick up right where we left off, Ryok finished their conversation with their father, and then endeavored to get their way out of the hospital and make their way back to Fisthala, where the rest of the party was. Upon arriving, the rest of the party spent a bit of time talking and role playing, learning a bit more about Nixandra and Nixandra's people, who are blood elves, which is something very unique in my setting, in that none of the players would know what a blood elf is. None of the characters would know. None of the PCs. Um, it's an extremely obscure thing from a very, very long time ago. Um, and so it was a bit of interesting roleplay and a few clashings of heads. But also, it was getting pretty late, and everyone was relatively tired. So after a little bit of shenanigans, everyone went to bed. With the morning coming round, everyone took a little bit of time doing their morning routines, eating some food, grabbing showers. Nixandra really wanted to journey back to Freyhala, the arcane tower, as Aethrin had told her that perhaps Freya and her wife would be better at breaking certain things to Nixandra, or at least would be able to do it better than he could. Um, and Wes, who, having grown up on Laputa, um, for the most part of that living in the forest, knows a pretty decent way there. And there was a bit more conversation and a little bit more shenanigans, but the party decided that's what they would do. Um, During all of this, Aesir was having moments where they seemed to constantly become aware of a shadow sort of looming outside. And it was really beginning to get on the characters' nerves. Also during the night, Nixandra had gone outside in private to try and contact Coden, a figure that had sort of been appearing throughout her life as this sort of shadowy illusion almost that no one else could see. But that Cairn and the other cultists in Calimare seemed to believe was real. She didn't find him, though she did manage to startle Luther pretty effectively, who was standing on guard on a nearby roof, and who she mistook for Coden and sent him a message asking, "Are you real?" which was rather fun. During the early morning, everyone basically just did what they needed to do and then set off, journeying through the city pretty early. Excuse me. About halfway towards the highlands, the whales started to wake up, and the sounds of the instruments started going off as the callers began to do their daily ritual of waking the whales. Wes led the party north instead of straight into the forest like they had gone before, knowing that there is a bridge in the highlands that leads much closer to the magic tower. In fact, it's almost like a swath of forest has been manipulated over generations to sort of lead to the tower much more easily. Almost like a game trail. During this travel across the highlands, the music was sort of blasting from the horns, and the whales were jumping, and Acer was still being haunted by the shadow they would occasionally see. They'd made their way through all of the highlands, come to the intersection, which sort of uh, trisects the highland. You could either continue on the road they were going to reach Valhalla, the Jarl's Keep, or take a left turn towards the hospital, or a right turn to approach the forges. Taking the way towards the hospital, they made their way to another large bridge and began making their way across. When they had gotten down on the other side, the forest was quite literally right before them. And during this time, Aesir noticed the shadow moving within the clouds for a moment before it went away. And Blair noticed Luther standing guard. Uh, he sort of waved when he noticed them looking a little confused. And she waved back and called something out, but over the sound of the horns and the trumpeting, he couldn't hear her. He made a motion for her to come closer to tell him what she was trying to say, but she did not do that, just continuing on forward with the party. And that was basically the end of the session. Um, a lot of the roleplay was a lot of characters just having conversations about recent events. Aesir trying to still piece together what people keep saying about memories that are missing, and his general distrust for Aethrin, who comes here and just says they're going to be manipulating their minds, um, and how not okay he was with any of that. And also Blair completed their uh, find familiar spell, acquiring a little bat they'd call Bryn, I believe. Which sort of became a bit of a joke for the session and a fun little bit of roleplay for the bat. But beyond that, it was mostly just talking and trying to figure out what people know about each other a little bit more and get a better handle on what's happening. And just a little bit of shenanigans here and there. It was a pretty mellow and tame session. Though I don't expect these mellow and tame sessions to last, it is a nice reprieve from the sort of constant hustle and bustle of being chased. Uh, like when in Calimare, there was really no time for any downtime. Now, there is time for downtime here, and they're using it mostly just to do things instead of, exploring or anything like that. They're still doing pretty active stuff, which is interesting. And I think the next session is going to be a lot of fun. And very stressful for Nixandra. But yeah, that was about it. I don't believe I'm missing anything too major that occurred. No. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming by for a very fast recap. Where I'm not taking like notes or recording sessions and picking up the actual conversations. These recaps are really more of a general sense of what the party's doing. So when we have a role play session like this, it could be a little bit quicker for me to recap, where the actual events happening are very limited in their scope. Um, and I mean, I'd consider recording sessions, but I have a very hard time setting up OBS to record what I'm saying. No, OBS can do it, because that's how I had the stream set up. I don't know. I imagine I could probably do it, but it would probably end up being a video. That's there. That's what I was. The problem is I wanted to like do it with Audacity, but I can't seem to get Audacity to record multiple different audio sources at once. If anyone knows how to do something like that with a program like Audacity and could easily teach me, I'd appreciate it. Because I basically need it to be recording what I'm saying and it to be recording what the computer's speakers are putting out of my headset to pick up what the players are saying. In my other YouTube account where I do some video game content and Magic the Gathering content, it's a bit easier to do that because I would just record our sessions with a microphone, like with a Blue Yeti or a Snowball. I would just set that in the middle of the room and everyone would just talk and play and it would pick up everyone's voice. But where these are digital campaigns, it's a little bit harder to get my setup in a way that would record just the audio. So I could make a video like this where I could cycle through images of the party or text I could put up if there was something important I wanted you to read. Um, Character names, places, little snippets of history, or like cool little references to what they were talking about. Um, but doing something like that would require me to have the audio, and I just don't really know how to do that. Um, it also kind of sucks that this system uses an SSD hard drive that just doesn't have a lot of space. Um, and these recordings can get fairly large. Um, at least, definitely the old ones did. And to be fair, if I delete my old recordings of my real life Pathfinder group, it would probably clear up a lot of space. Um, Assuming they're even on this and I didn't keep them off of it. But yeah, that's just more food for thought and me rambling. I want to thank everyone for coming by. If you have been enjoying the Sands of Calimare campaign or my setting, please, I'm happy to answer any questions or comments below, as long as it doesn't spoil something in the story ahead. And have a great day.